And we're back with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. This is Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every week, twice a week, wherever you get your podcasts. On this week's episode, it's the state of pro wrestling for October 2024. John Orlando and I are talking the latest goings on inside the squared circle. So catch it today on the Pop Culture Cosmos channel for sure. Plus, also as well, what's up, Serge? Great to have you here. Inside Sports Fantasy Football. Chris Sardieri said, let's do one Wednesday night. So hopefully I can get Joe involved talking to Steelers. And also, I'm going to ask the guys a question. Don't answer it yet, Joe. But I'm also going to ask the question, is it
11.
time? Well, I don't know how that relates to the question I was going to ask, but is it time, as he takes a swig right now of one of his favorite vintage beverages, to per se, is it time to bench Josh Allen? So we'll go ahead and discuss that in greater detail. We'll talk about that.
Where the hell did that come from?
For your fantasy football team. Anyways, we'll explain why more so in the coming hours. Next, I guess tomorrow we'll probably be going ahead and doing another episode of Inside Sports Fantasy Football. So catch that on our YouTube channel, plus also wherever you get your podcasts for those listening on the audio. Plus also as well, of course, our awesome members are listed down below. Daniel Barry Sports Highlights. Yo, support his great channel. Thank you so much for supporting our channel by becoming a member. Truly appreciated. It is immensely greatly appreciated. He not only gets emojis, badges, also notifications from us earlier than the regular audience on when we're going to go live with most of our shows, plus some little tidbits, including our season predictions. I already put the first one there for you guys that are members. You got the first peek at the season predictions already from one of our esteemed panelists. So go ahead and check that out today. But you could only do so for $2.99 a month if you're a member right now. There's also as well, of course, Lakers in 5, Empire Jeff TV, the Lakerholics crew at Lakerholics.com, John Costa's Clutch Talk and Lakers Corner. Also, as well, Lakers in 5, like I mentioned, Daniel Barry Sports Highlights, John McKinley, and all these great channels. Please give them a hand and give it by going and liking and subscribing. But speaking of liking and subscribing, subscribe today to get the latest notifications on when we go live on the air with the latest Lakers Fast Break podcasts, like our shows, and become a member. Get into what we're doing right here at the LFB. I know for Joe, it hasn't been the greatest day again after the Dodgers, well, their first game in San Diego didn't go as planned, but shutting down Rodell should always bring him some cheer. It did for me earlier today, but we'll
What
just go
happened?
ahead and the email that Rodell
Oh,
sent
you
earlier.
consider that a shutdown?
Yeah, you shut him down. I consider that shutdown. I shut him down pretty good, actually. I must compliment myself on that. I know I'll never get
Go
it
ahead.
from
Pat
you.
yourself on the back here.
I will because I
I
know I
know you
can't
like
from
it.
you. I respect your work, but it never goes the same way because, well, you don't respect anything. But
I love
that's a
me. I love me some me. That's why.
yeah, exactly. We still have that famous, I guess, point in time of the show where somebody was really doing a number on you, thought they were going to be trolling you, and thought they had the upper hand by calling you an arrogant son. I don't know if it's an SOB or just arrogant, and you loved
Narcissist.
it. Yeah, narcissist. That's right, narcissist. And you went on for 20 minutes about how much you enjoyed that compliment. And the guy, I guess,
I learned. I learned it from Leslie Nielsen in the Naked Gun movies. There's a hilarious scene in there that not a lot of people get because usually people who miss real comedy are usually pretty stupid, and there's a lot of stupid people out there. And there's a scene where he goes, "I've been swimming in raw sewage, and I love it." And that made an impact in my life. It's something that I think about more than I probably should.
well, you
And
shut the troll down, and he never came back.
there's nothing that shuts down an insult than the acceptance of the insult.
Yep, absolutely.
It helps to not have feelings. See, this is the thing: is that's hereditary. That's not something that, I mean, I shouldn't say that. I'd be hurt if my kids were upset, or my wife, family, and stuff, right?
Yes.
Total strangers? Yeah, absolutely not. That's just not going to happen. It never will happen. And I'll go back and forth, and it'll probably be interpreted that I'm flustered, but no.
No, no, not at all. But again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. Truly appreciate you checking in with us. We'll talk about something that JJ Redick mentioned at practice about AD at the 4 here later in the show, plus some brand new unis we will evaluate on the show today. We talked a little bit about it in our emails going back and forth. Some of us like it, some of us don't. We'll go into more detail about the new alternative Lake Show unis to see if it's something you like out there in the chat, and we'll show it up in later in the show. Indeed. Oh, Joe's got the pinky up there as he's drinking. Okay, there you go.
That's a
No worries.
That's an homage to Tony Sirico, aka Paulie Walnuts.
No worries about that as far as on Facebook. Don't worry about that at all. Just glad you are back with us, checking in with us here at the Lakers Fast Break. Truly appreciate you watching us, whether you're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, or wherever you go ahead and get our podcasts. Truly appreciate it. Again, it is the Lakers Fast Break, and we'll talk about JJ Redick and AD in a second. But I guess the ongoing media coverage of Bronny James continues. I know Joe is absolutely, already had enough. I had enough, but it keeps rearing its ugly head. And I know we need to keep talking about it because you guys and gals are still talking about it in Lakers land. Many of you out there have not had that reality check just yet. I know it's something that we provide here quite a bit on the show, but again, there's still people that are like holding out beyond all hope that Bronny is an NBA player. And again, after months now of seeing him in action, summer league, college, now in the pros during the exhibition season, I can clearly tell you that he is nowhere near being close to an NBA level that can contribute to an NBA team, much less the Lakers. So ESPN put up a major article. It's their lead article in their section today in ESPN in the NBA section. They preface it with the title and description, "Set Up for Failure: What Lies Ahead for Bronny James and the LA Lakers." And it goes into detail about, the positivity that Rich Paul, the CEO of Clutch Sports, still continues to try and go ahead and push the narrative that Bronny can be and is an NBA player, and obviously what the forceful actions that he had to be drafted by the Los Angeles Lakers, or had to be drafted in the second round, or they would not take any other undrafted offer, which I know Joe and I disagree with as far as what that indicates. Just the chance and opportunity for him to get from any team was something he probably would have jumped at, but need I digress. The article goes into more detail with several executives who didn't put their name on the paper, of course, didn't, have the balls or the guts to, well, first of all, they can't talk about other teams' players, so they really can't do that on the record. So I guess they can't do that anyways because they'll get fined, tampering, whatever. But I don't think they want to tamper with a guy like Bronny James because all of them to a T, they said he is just not ready. And it just seems to be this facade at the Lakers facility in El Segundo where they continually try to keep, his spirits up, keep trying to motivate him, keep trying to provide the media out there with quotes about how well he's progressing. And Joe and I, as we keep telling you the reality of truth, there is no progression to be found there. So, Joe, again, the show has to continue to cover because it is still a daily function. I mentioned yesterday there were 5 articles that popped up when I just typed in Lakers on a search on Bronny James. Today, there's a major article in the NBA section in ESPN. It is still something that so many people out there, whether the Lakers fans or not, want to keep an eye on for some God knows reason. You and I completely ignore the fact that there was history made the other day when LeBron James and Bronny played on the floor at the same time. I could care less. I want the Lakers to win games. And if they play Bronny James more than just that token minute when he's in the game with LeBron, they may not be winning too many games, Joe.
He's not playing in the regular season other than to have their one little dance.
Oh, he better not. He better not.
The question now is why would you give him a 3-year guaranteed deal?
Mm-hmm.
You just got to keep him in the G League for 3 years until you don't have to pay him the 4th year? You're not playing this guy. Maxwell Lewis is not playing for the Lakers. He's done. Like this.
And that's the thing. Well, let me say this, Joe. The 13 minutes he played Bronny James in that second game, and again, I apologize for interrupting. Maxwell Lewis, someone whose very career with the Lakers is in tenuous position because the fact that he may not last with the Lakers, he's not even getting the time. They could have given that time, that 13 minutes to him, Jordan Goodwin, who's fighting for a playoff, just to be in the team. He has NBA experience and he's fighting for a spot on the team. He could have gotten that 13 minutes. There's so many other things, players that could have gotten that 13 minutes that would have been better use for the Lakers to evaluate and see, Joe.
Yeah.
But they chose to go ahead and have
Rich Paul keeps opening his trap and the lies continue. He's full of shit and he's lying. And I wish somebody would tell him that. You're lying. You're a liar. Junior's never going to play in the NBA as a regular. It's never going to happen. Not talented enough. And I heard someone comparing him to Scottie Pippen Jr., which I thought was a massive insult to Scottie Pippen Jr. Scottie Pippen Jr. is not his pops, obviously. The only reason why they mentioned him is because he's a son of a former NBA great. And that always cracks me up when the comparisons sometimes that come up. You ever notice
that was Rodell, by the way, that did that?
Well, it's funny how people will compare, let's say, certain players. Like, let's say a white player, they always compare him to another white player. I go, why can't this person be this other guy? Because I've seen plenty of guys that have this guy's skill set. That people are so programmed into comparisons, or they'll say things like, or my favorite is always the comeback. When someone screws up, well, it's not worse than this guy. I go, motherfucker, this guy is a piece of shit, just like the other guy. Why are you comparing two pieces of shit?
Now, let me go ahead and say this to his exact quote to us in his regular email that he sent to us today, like clockwork. Can Bronny be as good as Scottie Pippen Jr.? I don't know. I do know. Scottie Pippen Jr., when he was playing for the Los Angeles Lakers, was not ready for the NBA. He couldn't shoot well. He was very reckless with his passing, and his size didn't help at all on defense. He's gone over to Memphis and totally redesigned his game to where he's now a more consistent shooter, a much more under control playmaker, and quite possibly could be a rotation player for the Memphis Grizzlies. So he has worked hard, Joe, in the gym to become a rotation player in the NBA, possibly as early as this season. So I do know the answer, Rodell. The answer is Bronny James at this point absolutely sucks.
No.
And let's not insult Scottie Pippen Jr. by even getting him in the same hemisphere as a basketball player.
We never said Scottie Pippen Jr. didn't have something. We just didn't know if he had something with LA or just in general at that moment. I've seen Scottie Pippen Jr. play. The guy has some talent. He had some talent. The issue is
he was not ready at the with the Lakers.
Well, no, because if you say it like that, then someone's going to come back and say, well, maybe Bronny's not ready. No, Bronny is not ready. He is not an NBA player. Scottie Pippen was an NBA player even when he was in LA. He looked like someone who could play in the NBA. He just wasn't ready to play for the Lakers or really anybody at that point. And that needed to be determined based off of what he's done, because sometimes you don't know these second generation players. They've never had to, I guess, struggle to eat, not literally, but struggle to eat in terms of the pressure. They grew up privileged, quote unquote. And sometimes the motivation isn't there because they've been handed everything their whole lives. Not in the way that I'm saying, like handed to it. It's just, how is a rich man not going to have his kids have everything, or at least never really feel fear? Forget about everything. Forget about like material things. There's plenty of rich people out there that won't give their kids material things and they'll raise them the right way. But still, in the end, if something catastrophic happens, like the difference between you going to county hospital and going to Cedar Sinai in Beverly Hills, or I'm sorry, not in Beverly Hills, in LA, you have that advantage, right? Where the ones that don't have the money wouldn't. But Scottie Pippen has put in the work, and he had talent. Bronny James does not have NBA talent. He barely had any college talent. What he should have done was stayed in college. How long was Scottie Pippen in college, Junior, at Vanderbilt?
I think is he a full 4 years?
It was a full 4 years. Maybe Bronny James would have learned something, humility. I don't know what that's probably not the right word. He would have learned how to build something. This was not the decision. And this is the part that just cracks me up about this.
3 years, my bad.
Quote. Okay, 3 years is good. 3 years might as well be 4. You're talking about a guy insulting everyone's intelligence by saying this was his decision. And even if it was his decision in the end, let's just say it was, it's a stupid decision. You would have had a better chance of having an NBA career if you played 3 and 4 years at USC. Why come out now?
Well, to put in context, because he played at Vanderbilt, Joe, Scottie Pippen Jr. in his freshman year, averaged 16 points a game, 5 assists, and about 4 rebounds a game as a freshman, Joe. So how many points a game did Bronny average as a freshman?
5.
And then he proceeded in the next 2 years, Scottie Pippen Jr. at Vanderbilt averaged 26 points and almost 25 points as a junior. So he felt it was his time to go because there's really nothing more he felt he could accomplish at Vanderbilt. I can respect that. And obviously, again, he didn't have what the Lakers were seeing as far as what they needed at the time. He was victim of a numbers game, whatever. He looked a little rough around the edges when he was with the Lakers, but NBA talent, he certainly had comparative to what we see with Bronny James. Bronny James, at this point, should be in his sophomore season as a backup guard on the USC Trojans. That's really what it looks like right now, because right now what we see on the Lakers floor is absolutely embarrassing.
My irritation is that they could have had him without overpaying him and wasting a draft pick on him.
Put him on a two-way.
You could have gotten him as a free agent. You could have added possibly someone that had some talent that could have benefited. You have a better chance picking someone at that number that could contribute versus not. You get 1 instead of 2 now. Do you all understand what I'm saying? You could have had this guy play. It's same scenario except the contracts due to the rules. You could have had this guy play with his pops without sacrificing draft picks, without worrying about waiting for this idiot and doing all this shit. That's the thing that pisses me off. And then you have this moron, Rich Paul, talking about how he wanted to come out and he would have been drafted by Phoenix. And how convenient that it's Phoenix and Golden State, the two teams that have Durant on it and Steph Curry, the two ass kissers for LeBron James.
Or that somebody had to draft him in
Don't
the second
insult
round.
me.
Or
You know,
else.
the thing is, there's two things that piss me off more than anything on the planet. It's not about my teams losing. It's not about some hack on social media yapping. It's not about me getting angry at myself for doing things. It's none of that. It's two things. Number one, wasting my motherfucking time. And the other is looking down on me. Looking down on me is insulting my intelligence. Whether you're a rich prick who looks at me like I'm there bothering them, I hate that shit. In my industry, that rears its head once in a while. And there's a really clear communication done right before I leave that I'm not happy. And you feel it in the room. So really, and that's why I'm kind of sadistic about it. As much as I don't like it, I actually enjoy the aftermath because I get a chance to show people that you, motherfucker, are not better than me. I don't give a shit how much money you have. I don't give a fuck who you are. I could have a dime to my name and I'm still going to be better than you. So, Rich Paul, stop insulting and wasting my motherfucking time. And this is what this is right now. You are wasting my time discussing Bronny James, a hack in this league at this point. He's a hack. The fact that he's leading a goddamn ESPN page is an insult to everyone. I have nothing really to do with it. No one knows really who I am except our little clique. But the fact that you put this guy on a front page and actually asked a stupid question like that and interviewed the guy saying stupid shit is an insult to journalism. It's an insult to sports. It's an insult to everything common sense. I don't want to look at this guy or anything near him. I don't want to see these people. I want this team to win. He ain't going to do shit for this team to win. Why are we wasting our time with, is the experiment over? Who gives a shit?
A lot of people think that they do, Joe, because it's because of the name on the back of his jersey. That's why people get
you people, and I'm going to say you people in general, the world. You give these athletes. I am a biggest sports guy. One of the biggest sports guy out there. Okay, and I love movies. Love movies. But the worship that you have for these celebrities, are you not learning about what's going on with all the stuff going on right now? Stop idolizing these people, their families, and their shitty lives. And from my eyes, they all live this disgusting lives to me. Because they'll sit there and they're hedonistic in a lot of ways. And then on top of that, the same assholes who complain about other people having advantages will do the exact same thing right in front of you and contradict everything they say. That's what pisses me off. I don't like hypocrites. And LeBron James and this whole fiasco, Rich Paul and all this are fucking hypocrites. This is beyond basketball. This is a waste of my time. There's no discussion of the Lakers winning. It's the Bronny experiment. Who cares? Why do you care? Why would you give that any attention? How is that relevant to the Lakers winning?
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Soro along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching, listening. Truly appreciate it. Joe, you are always on this show talking about how you hate things that revolve around money and finances. So however much we complain about Bronny being on the team, however much we complain that he was drafted, however much we complain about him sucking up minutes in front of another maybe more deserving player to get a better opportunity to be a player on this team, the Lakers are ultimately going to get a financial windfall on it, even off the memorabilia, the jersey sales, what have you. I know that doesn't make sound well for you, but the reality is a reality. Remember, they only have to pay him $1.1 million this year. They'll certainly get that back tenfold in jersey sales alone, Joe. So, and I know how much you hate around the fact that money might be driving this. Money might be driving this for the Los Angeles Lakers.
Well, they have the right to do that, and I have the right to call them morons and denigrate everything about them. And I'd just like to know who was against it. I would love to have somebody say, Joe, you're wrong. You're out of line. You're this, you're that. Okay, why? Tell me how I'm wrong. I'm watching a sports franchise compete. You're not running that operation. What are you doing? You want to do this nepotism stuff? Keep it in the front office. Anyone can be a secretary. Anyone can go fetch coffee. This is professional sports. You have to have talent here. And I'm not going to accept it. No, I'm going to say something about it. And I'm going to insult everyone that supports this. You're clowns. You have no idea what quality is. You are Walmart shoppers to me. This is a Walmart move. That's all it is. And I'm not here to be right. It's got nothing to do with right. I'm about competing. I'm about competing. Are you going to compete? Come out and say, look, guys, we're not going to. I'd have more respect for you. Guys, our team sucks. We're going to try to make this more of a pageantry. Might as well. Okay, well, at least they were honest. No, we have Rich Paul being the mouthpiece for the LA Laker franchise. When has that ever happened? When the hell has an agent of a player taken over as the mouthpiece for a franchise like the LA Lakers? The Jeannie Buss and Rob Pelinka have allowed this. And you want me to sit here after watching guys like Mitch Kupchak, Jerry West, Jerry Buss, Bill Sharman, Pat Riley, and all these Laker icons. They're not even Laker greats. They're icons. And now I got to listen to some fucking agent be the mouthpiece for the Lakers? This is garbage. I'm sure they're nice people personally, but from a professional standpoint, trash. All of them. All of them. And how are you going to convince me otherwise? How are they going to retort to me and make me believe that their operation isn't dog shit? Because the first question I'm going to ask him is, why didn't you just pick up his son as a free agent? You know damn well no one was going to draft him. And all these reports coming out is bullshit. I see through you. I see your bullshit. Maybe the other 90,000 people don't. I do. And bullshit. If one guy is right and 90,000 people are wrong, just because 90,000 people agree doesn't make it right. Isn't that always the battle? People submit, right? You have a large crowd that believes in something that's wrong. You have the one guy that says, no, that's wrong, and then he gets ridiculed or she gets ridiculed, right? Look, being right in a lot of ways is relative. But you tell me when it comes to winning, we're talking about that right. Is this team going to win because they wasted all this time on a no-talent hack because his name is James? The same asshole father his who has been bitching and whining for 20 years in the social world about privilege and how people have one up on everything, and he does the same fucking thing. This was the most privileged thing I've ever seen in sports. And I've been watching sports for 34 years. Longer than that, 36. Tell me that's not correct. Forget about me. Just tell me. The motherfucker got his son drafted. And he has no talent.
By the way, Darren, that's just Legend 350's thoughts. I have several more predictions, and I'm going to put a different one out every day or every other day. Members will get a first look at it. We will go over the season predictions for all of our panelists that they submitted at a later date before we get into the season as far as for the rest of our audience. But our members are getting an insight first and foremost on that. So that is just Legend 350s.
$7,000. I'm gonna paint a picture for you, and I want you to pay attention. Are you ready? How old is LeBron James?
39.
39. Do you know when he started getting looked at as an NBA talent?
I'm assuming it was when he was coming
14.
up. Well, I was going to say 13, but yeah.
13, 14. I said 14. Usually it's first year in high school. What does LeBron James know his entire life he wasn't an adult yet, but 14 is a pretty good number in terms of memory.
Remember, he was put on a Sports Illustrated cover in high school.
14 till 39. LeBron James has known privilege. You know how many years I've known privilege? And I'm 46. 0. Unless you want to call my parents raising me and putting clothes on my back, and I live in a house. It's relative, I guess. It's subjective. But the commentary from him is how hard his life was. Everybody has that story these days, right?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. From 0 to 14, you lived maybe a struggle. Okay. Do you even remember that struggle? Probably. Let's say he does. Okay. But what about the last 26 years? Now what? What category is that? You've had your ass kissed the whole time. You were driving Hummers in high school, by the way. And by the way, he didn't get in trouble for that.
Well, the thing I want to go ahead and ask you, Joe.
My buddy Brian didn't have a father either.
The Lakers with Bronny James.
I barely had grandparents. So what about me? What about me being underprivileged? My mom died at 45. My mom died at 45. What about me? Where's my privilege? I had to watch my dad for 17 years have guilt because of my mother passing away. What about my privilege? We all have something in our life. We all have that bridge. So, no, I'm not an NBA superstar. No, I wasn't gifted that physique. No. But you need to understand what I'm saying, and that is the same guy that yaps about privilege is doing exactly what he's been complaining about for how many years?
Thing I want
to this was a dick move, and it'll never go. And you'll never be able to convince otherwise, because it is exactly that. I don't even know why this has anything to do with it, but we're trying to explain it.
But it goes back to some of the things that you and I have been upset about over the course of the past few years that this organization has done with the PPP loan, obviously their treatment of Jerry West, the things that have gone. It just fits an MO. How is this different? This is all a media barrage. This is all something that is garnered to or designed in many ways to financially benefit the Lakers. Again, they're paying him pennies on the dollar what they'll make in as far as media attention and also memorabilia, jersey sales. It's a terrible move as far as from a player personnel standpoint. He's awful. He does no business being in the NBA. But from a financial standpoint, Joe, that's what they're looking at, is the bottom dollar It is the dollar, what they're looking at, plain and simple. It's all about the Benjamins to them at this point in time. This is the MO that they've followed for many years now. The way they've treated the Bibigo on the uniform, which we'll show here in a little bit in those new alternative uniforms that have pissed you off because they put the 44 so much smaller than the Bibigo. It just fits the pattern, Joe, to what we're seeing.
Yeah, and anyone who defends these guys is part of the problem. I'm sorry, folks. I'm very observant. I know what's going on most of the time. I'm wrong. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes, sure, but I don't make a lot of them, guys. Because I don't sit there and just react. It may look like that I do, but no, everything has thought to it. A lot of times, it's quick though, because that's how my brain is set up. 46 years life experience. Sometimes that does that. There's a lot of backing to the fact that I'm a good decision maker. It would have to be something where you'd have to be around me to see it. I don't make the right decisions all the time. I make mistakes. But I always said about my parents, God rest his soul, since I've been talking about them, my parents had flaws, but they had a knack for coming up clutch when it mattered. And that was why it's been so hard not having them around.
07, I think, is trying to defend Bronny. I think, in fact, he got those 3 block shots in the first game. But again, from all the entire summer league with his subpar shooting, the fact he couldn't even shoot 30% in a closer up 3-point in college, it's bad, 7. You know it's bad, and there's no way to defend it. You cannot defend Bronny James. If it was a guy named John Smith on that number 9 jersey that was playing like this, you would want him gone already and waived and be playing in the G League or Europe somewhere. It's just because his name is Bronny James, people think they have the right to defend him. And the Lakers have wasted 3, potentially 4 years on it. But from a financial standpoint, that's probably what they're looking at, is the fact that they'll gain more than that in jersey sales alone.
Well, it's an insult to those who have been busting their ass, who have better talent than him, who didn't get drafted. You're going to create a resentment in the league. And while that in the end probably doesn't matter, it is what it is. We waste our time. We wasted a whole show now talking about a no talent. And
because it takes up so much
I
media.
had to reiterate how hypocrisy runs rapid so much, and liars are constantly out there. Have you ever been lied to? This is for everyone. Have you ever been lied to your face by a stranger and immediately told them they were lying? Probably not, because that'll create a confrontation, correct? Let me tell you this, folks. I have several times, and it's not good. People have gotten pissed. But I look them dead in the eye and I'm like, you're lying. And they'll remember me forever from that. Maybe it changes the way they talk after that. Someone has to call liars out. You keep letting people lie to your face. They're going to lie to everyone else. No one's going to call them out due to not having a confrontation. And I understand it. Not everybody has that energy for that. But folks, too many people take advantage. And some of us out there are not going to stand for it. Some of us have a duty to call it out. Rich Paul is a liar. Bronny James has no business in the NBA, and he'll have no business being in the NBA in 2, 3, 4, or 10 years. And LeBron James is one of the biggest hypocrites I've ever seen in sports. That says a lot.
And 7, yeah, again, you're free to express your opinion, my friend. But if he wasn't the 55 pick, would we be talking about it? No, because he would be playing. He would have never even gotten a look. if his name wasn't Bronny James. He impressed no. It's funny because they're talking in that article, Joe, about the one of the scrimmages they had, at the combine in Chicago, and how he was the player of the game because he shot 4 for 10, 4 for 10, and they made him the MVP of the game. And his father was so proud. And they're talking about that moment, and I'm thinking to myself, that's what it takes to get an MVP of the game at a combine. That's where we're at, Joe. That's where we're at. But again, if that's your highlight, that and the 13-point game I think he got in his final outing in summer league. If those are your highlights, that's not a good set of highlights, Joe. That tells me you are just not ready for NBA basketball at this point in time, and you may never be. You most likely will never be, because already you should be showing something to scouts, your teammates, the experts, that shows that you are able to play at an NBA level.
We're going to have to let this play out. We let it play out. We'll see if we're wrong.
We will see if we're wrong.
See if we're wrong on this. And I'm trying to rack my brain. The last 3 years being on this show, what have we been dead wrong in? I'm talking like really bad. Do you know?
I think the one where you said because I brought it up today because I was proving Rodell wrong, because this time last year we were so high and so positive on the Lakers being at the top of the Western Conference. Kind of off on that one, because you guys say, oh, you're all so negative. You're negative. And then we were positive at this time last year, super positive on the Lakers, and got bit in the ass for it. So don't expect us to be
I'm not. That's not being wrong. That's a team. That's people going, okay, well, we saw a little bit of a taste, and Rob signed everyone, and now it's the players' job to get going. Yet we got presented a shitburger, and while we had to deal with what happened last year and dealing with Darvin Ham and his idiocy, what was the response after that? The response was focusing on non-winning transactions. And then that's where the venom started coming out. The draft night was kind of the tipping point for me. That was the tipping point. And then it just kept growing and growing because the Lakers had and you knew after first day of free agency, Valanciunas went to Washington. I said, that's it. That was it. That was the guy that we had to get. That was the only one we had a shot at. But that's it. And that's the guy we needed. We needed someone like that.
And he only took him $2 million more than Max Christie per year.
Yeah. And he'd rather go play in Washington of all places.
He knows he's going to be traded, Joe. He went there for the money.
Whatever. The point is, Lakers don't have that panache anymore where they can convince somebody to come play for them and earn whatever he would have made in Washington in LA because he's in LA. And then we proceeded to have to listen to this reality show trash. And I'm tired. But I really want to know, what have we been dead wrong in the last 3 years? For those of you who've been watching the show for the last 3 years, please enlighten me, because I can't remember what we've said where we were so wrong it made us look like clowns.
So before we go ahead to the second subject, which is a little bit more positive, big thanks to Darren, and also $7,000 for the super chats. Darren had something pointed. He wanted to say the 7, and it got on the screen, so I'm sure he was able to see it. For $7,000, he's asking you, Joe, are you encouraged by LA's comeback that just fell short, or are we losing the series? Your thoughts? Can they take Game 4 in San Diego?
They could, and they did it in San Francisco, or the San Francisco series in 2001. They did it in 2020. The issue this year is
Would you have let Bueller stay out that long?
Oh no, I think the way things played out was fine. The two major misses is what cost them the game, which is the 2 double plays that they botched. It was 2 bad decisions by 2 heady players who were actually injured. And the thing with the Dodgers is it's always something. If it's not a botched double play, they'll find a way to get a triple play done up on them. Muncy will hit a home run in game 2 when it doesn't count, but he won't hit at all when it matters. The 5, 6, and 7 hitters today went 0 for 12. And their at-bats were terrible. They left pitches there that could have been balls and putting pressure on the pitchers so that they have to throw a good ball. It just overall the Dodgers, regardless if Roberts wasn't necessarily the main issue in this year's playoffs, the Dodgers, should they lose, have to clean house. I mean, completely. They got to get rid of every single coach on that team, and they got to start over. They need a new voice. They need a new image. And you got to get rid of the last of the chokers. The Will Smiths, which is going to be hard because they just signed him and he's a good catcher. But Gavin Lux has got to go. Max Muncy's got to go. Chris Taylor's got to go. Those guys all got to go. And you got to get some heady contact hitters on this team. If you're going to have Ohtani, Mookie, Freeman, and if you end up signing Teo, you got to put the other 5 players, you got to put those guys as contact hitters. Because if you're going to put Ohtani at 1, you got to get the guys that are going to be good at making contact so that they can continue to have those bases filled and keep the pressure on any pitcher. And then you have Ohtani, Mookie, and Freeman waiting in the wings to get those things into home. So yeah, it's when you have when you start, I'm going to use an analogy here, and I know it's kind of excessive, but cancer, when you catch it early, is much better than even catching it when it's not threatening. Early is always better. And I have been preaching for a long time that there were some decisions made years ago that should not have been made, and it cost your team championships. They should have nipped this in the butt immediately, but they haven't. And they've continued to ride this wave of just voodoo shitty luck. And what that is I am not an overly spiritual man, but there are people out there, one or a set of people that have this knack of just not doing the right things when it matters, even sometimes when it's not their fault. They just have that aura around them. And Dave Roberts is one of those guys. And I feel bad because I'm sure he's a nice guy he looks like a very nice guy, and I sometimes I do feel bad that I insult him so much, but it comes from just the sporting side of things. And it's just not, it's done. It's been beat up. And Gomi and Freeman and Caston and all those guys, they've been stubborn with this thing. They've been continually opening this thing up to the right players, to the right everything, and they just haven't been able to nip this leadership issue. And maybe it wouldn't have made a difference. I don't know, but see, I would have rather have taken a chance. And the Texas Rangers winning last year was a bigger punch in the face to me, because the Texas Rangers were exactly like the Dodgers for years, overpaying players and underachieving. Yet they finally hired a manager that knew what he was doing, and they ended up winning a championship in year 1. It's sports makes you the happiest man on the planet or break you in half.
Would you put Otani out there on the mound?
No.
Game for him? Okay.
I actually would rather
They teased us with that, What's up, Raphael?
I think if it came down to winning an NLCS in the in the ninth inning, and you really needed him, I could see something like that, or a World Series. The problem right now with the Dodgers is the same problem they've had for 5 years now, and that is it doesn't matter what happens, something seems to always happen. It's always some freak thing, and it always seems to happen in the playoffs. If it wasn't 2 botched DPs, for all we know, they would have screwed something up in the 5th inning. We don't know. We'll never know. But today it was that, and it always happens. I mean, come on, really? How do you botch 2 double plays in the same inning? Who does that? How do you get a triple play on you? How does that happen? Why does that always happen to the Dodgers? Because they're jinxed. They're jinxed, and they got to kill the jinx. By killing the jinx, you got to kill the usual suspects. You got to get them out of there. It's not an accident that the non-Dodger cursed players have been more effective in this series than not. And
Getting back. Oh,
even Otani struggled the last couple of games, but he still managed to get a hit today.
yeah, but struck out, of course. Yeah, they just didn't get it done. What, 3 hits after that?
One hit after the grand slam.
Okay, it was 3 total hits. My bad, between both teams.
Yeah, it was an absolute just. So that doesn't get talked about enough. It's always about what they didn't do in the second. How about 1 hit in 6 innings? $300 million payroll.
It's not getting it done.
No, it's always something. 7th straight loss on the road. Really? 7th straight in the playoffs? Everyone else wins on the road except the Dodgers.
Well,
and they lose at home too.
Well, that stat they threw out there, 1-51, when Dave Roberts falls 5 runs more behind.
Who really comes back from 5 runs in a playoff? That I bet you half the.
Why did they need to throw that stat out there?
That's a stupid stat. That's a baseball stat. Oh, a team is 0-400 when they're down 18 runs during the game. Really? Oh, okay. That's an interesting stat.
So, Lakers practice today. And once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. Truly appreciate you joining us. It is Joe Soro from SimBladesWorldwide.com and Ox1947 at LakersBall.com. It's Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching, listening. JJ Redick talked a little bit more about what was done in that first quarter against Phoenix. Late in the first quarter, you got to see a big lineup, Joe, with AD playing the 4 and Jackson Hayes at the 5. And JJ Redick said he will be experimenting with that a little bit more because of what AD may be able to do on the perimeter as far as defensively. Now, so many people, including us over the years, have just really tried to just hammer in the point that AD at the 4 with a even decent center alongside clogging up the lanes might be something that the Lakers need to revisit. I mean, it worked in 2020. Your thoughts on them dabbling with a 4-5 of AD and Jackson Hayes this upcoming season?
It worked well. The problem is who's going to come off the bench? Who's going to spell AD and Jackson? You need a rotation a little bit. You need a backup power forward and you need a backup center. So let's look at the 2020 team. You had JaVale McGee start the game, and then you had Dwight Howard. And then those guys were interchangeable depending on matchups in the playoffs. Dwight Howard was non-existent in the finals, but he was very, very formidable in the Denver series. And he wasn't used that much in the Houston and Portland series because Those teams played more small ball. Correct?
Yes.
So, but what it does still is those guys are viable role players who eat up 15 minutes. Folks, I want you to focus on this. Dwight Howard ate up 15 minutes of quality basketball. JaVale McGee ate up 15 minutes of quality basketball. That's 30 minutes during a game that you're not having Anthony Davis and I don't know who, Jackson Hayes, have to hold the fort down. Oh, and you also had late in the season, you bring in Marquise, who was the power forward guy who actually contributed. Now you had a full front line of productiveness, guys that knew their roles and executed it according to the matchups. What do the Lakers have right now? They have Anthony Davis and Jackson Hayes. That's it. That's it.
So
have to get a center. Absolutely have to get a center. And they need a center, I mean, like today. If they want AD to have any shot at being great this year, you have to get him a center. You have to get somebody that can back him up.
that's what we're touching on, Quabina, because I know JJ Redick, as you said and indicated, said a lineup that he prefers is when AD is at the 4. And again, it's because he wants him out on the perimeter for defense. We'll see if the Lakers can find somebody. Again, you probably will only get bits and pieces of it because right now the only time you can do it is when Jackson Hayes comes into the ball game, late first, late third, until it's time for AD to go ahead and sit down and get his rest at the end of the quarter. So if that's the case, you'll only get to see bits and pieces until the Lakers can do something to solidify the center position. Christian Coloco, his status has still not yet been rectified by the league. Colin Castleton, it's just not looking good for him as an NBA center, even a backup center at this point. And it just seems like the Lakers still need some more size. And again, what I told you guys last week, there was a podcast, I forget which one now, was Real GM or another podcast, Game Theory. It was Game Theory. One of the guests on Game Theory said the Lakers' big man rotation is a catastrophe. And I can't say I disagree, Joe, because beyond AD, let's put Rui and LeBron out of the mix in there. As far as the big man are concerned that can play the 5, it's not very good, Joe, behind AD.
No, and that's your main guy who's not going to get any rest. Yeah. He's not going to get any rest, which means he's very likely to come up lame at the wrong time.
It's going to be another 35, 36 minutes per game for AD.
If we were in the early 2000s, when offenses were half court, look at basketball back in before, let's say, the 7 seconds or less offense, and then fast forward to the last decade. You got a lot of rest when you had more half court type offenses, correct? So you didn't feel like you were running track as much. Yes, you were banging down low, but I just think running is going to cause more fatigue than trying to set up a post move, look around, and pass the ball for a big man. AD's effectiveness has been misused pretty much his entire Laker career. You should have. It's like getting a franchise quarterback, and not putting offensive linemen in front of him. AD really has only had a few years where he actually played at the position he is good at, great at, and also protected. And in those 2 years, you won a championship, and you would have won another one if he hadn't gotten hurt. So what does that tell you about management and their inability to not cater to Anthony Davis? They're too busy catering to LeBron and his stupid Family Matters garbage, but they're not paying attention to Anthony Davis. You tell me if that makes sense, what I'm saying. Is it not?
I think it does. Again, they are putting the focus on the wrong individual, but LeBron James has this as a virtual chokehold on this organization,
So
whether we like it or not.
about winning, is this guy concerned about winning? Because all you do is you see these workout videos with him looking like, whatever, like is that supposed to impress me? You work out, you're supposed to work out, you're a professional athlete. Is that what we're concerned about? The longevity? Oh, he's going to score 42,000 points. Why the hell would any fan give two shits about an individual's stats? This is the NBA. This isn't baseball pre-analytics. Stats don't mean shit in the NBA. It's about winning. You're judged by winning. Football, you're judged by winning. So what are you going to do? You basically have had a franchise quarterback in Anthony Davis, and you've only had a year and change of a strong offensive line protecting him. Is that a good comparison? I guess it was. Gerald was so excited. He left.
But with that being said, okay, that was different. But with that being said, Joe, AD at the 4, if you could figure out a way to do it, even
No.
with
There is no figuring out. There is no figuring out. It's already been figured out. You have to make it happen now. Anthony Davis, you want him. You guys, Mr. JJ Redick keeps yapping about MVP, blah, blah, blah. This is the best player. We need to move the thing to. You keep saying this, but you're not giving him the tools. He's been saying this for how long? Guys, I play better at the 4. Why don't they listen to him? It's true. Because when he did play at the 4, he was phenomenal. And then when he shifted to the 5, based off who they were playing, he became deadlier. It's like, I'm going to use a comparison so that people understand. There was always this comparison between Troy Polamalu and Ed Reed. I'm always going to sound biased because I'm a Steeler fan. I'm going to go with Troy. But more often than not, people are going to say Ed Reed. But they played kind of different positions. But when you look at, let's say, at that time, Tom Brady was the guy, right? He had more problems with the Baltimore defense than he had the Steelers. Why? Because Troy Polamalu wasn't stationed somewhere waiting for you to do something. Troy was on the right, on the left, back. You didn't know. That was a little easier to maneuver, at least for Tom Brady. Where he had problems is when he had to deal with Ed Reed. Ed Reed, because he was a true free safety, caused problems with angles, slant routes. You didn't know if he was going to jump a route. Like, he was that good, right? That was what he was really good at. So it's the same thing here. It was the same thing here when you had a perfect constructed setup for Anthony Davis. If you needed him at the 5, you used him there in the right setup. But before that, you had him sitting at the position, his natural position. You had a good starter that knew his role, that did a good job when he was in. You had a good backup that did the same thing when he came in and relieved that guy. And what that does is it also preserved his energy. Because now he's not banging with the Jokic's by himself. He wasn't banging with Embiid by himself. At that time, I don't know if he really was having problems with Sabonis. But these are the things that that have to be addressed now. The big man is back, folks. They've won the last 4 MVPs. One of those bigs has been very competitive and has already won a championship. The other big just got a really big infusion of talent and could be a problem should they stay healthy, and that's Joel Embiid. How are you going to combat that? Because this is not just a Western Conference issue. You have to win in the East when you get to the finals too. How are you going to play against a healthy Joel Embiid if they made it to the finals? Are you just expecting Boston to be there? Are you just expecting maybe Cleveland to make a run, or maybe New York? What happens when you assume that that's how it's going to play out, especially with how the history of championships have been recently? The last back-to-back champion was the Golden State Warriors in 2018. That was 6 seasons ago. And if you watch 2018, as good as that team was, they were a Chris Paul injury away from getting bounced by Houston. So, a lot of detail. It's a lot of information. But instead of talking about this, and maybe they have, but it doesn't matter about talking. I'm sure they've talked about it. But what are you doing to execute it? You've done nothing. You've done nothing. And you're leading articles on ESPN about a fucking player that has no business in this game. For what? So you can sell T-shirts? Really? Is that really what it is? It's an insult to every fan that cares. And then at the same time, the fans that really love that shit, you're stupid too.
So before we head it out, my friend, and again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. Joe Sorrell from AKA Ox1947 at LakersBall.com and Simblades with the Y.com, along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much again for watching, listening. Truly appreciate it. Before we head on out, the Lakers debuted some uniforms.
Is that a serious question, $7 grand? Why didn't Dwayne Wade win 8 titles?
Corbina says, I say we suck it up and get Walker Kessler. I mean, outside of giving up those 2 first-round draft picks, I don't think Danny H would be interested.
No, he'd take the 29 and 31.
Yeah, he would. I said that's what I was saying. I said outside of giving up those 2, I don't think there's anything that we could offer him that would.
I'll tell you what, $7 grand. If Kobe was in the place of Dwayne Wade during 11 through 14, they would have 4-peated for sure. I have no doubt there.
So before we head on out, the Lakers debuted some new jerseys. So
Kobe and LeBron, oh my God.
7 has asked, do you agree with that?
For sure, barring injuries. They would have not lost to Dallas. And the 14 San Antonio Spurs were an execution juggernaut, but Kobe Bryant in 14 wasn't he winning the scoring title until he gave it to Kevin Durant that year?
I still think he was averaging.
I think that was 12.
Yeah. Let me go ahead and I'll check the stats on that one.
I think it was 12.
So before we head on out, my friend, again, as I've said for the 3rd time, the Lakers.
LeBron is great. $7 grand. I'm sorry, I gotta answer the question.
Go ahead.
LeBron is great at basketball. He's just shitty everywhere else.
Yeah, he was only averaging 22 by that time in 2014, Joe. He was still coming back for the injuries. He only played 35 games that year. That was next to last year. Jeremy said, what's up, Clay? Not even playing preseason games, by the way. They're He's old. He's old, and they're trying to save him for the rest season. You're seeing that a lot of these teams are not playing their players or playing them minimal minutes because they don't want to gas them out or get them injured here in the preseason. But before we, LBJ is a great business guy. Well, he might be a great business guy. No one
What
can
does that
argue
have
the
to do
fact
with?
yeah, the $1 billion.
Guys, stop talking at your ass. Him being a billionaire, a smart businessman, a good dad, none of this has to do with winning. We are here for the Lakers. I don't care what he does off the court. And none of you should either. I don't care about what he does.
All right, 7.
All right, you went there, 7 grand. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, cue up the P. Diddy comment then. Nothing like a Diddy party. Isn't that what he's? That was him too. That wasn't AI.
Yes, that
Are we
was
going
him.
to assume that he was doing something? 7 grand.
And on that note,
Stop idolizing these guys. I love LeBron James on the court. He sucks everywhere else. Get it through your head. Stop using stupid excuses that have nothing to do with the subject. You look like an ass. If you were there and you saw it, give me proof.
So the Lakers put out new unis today. I'm just going to show it right now. It is, of course, the Lakers fast break. They did show off new unis. The first time you'll see this is November 21st when the team plays Orlando. These are alternate uniforms. Lake Show, to let our audio audience know, Lake Show unis with a blended purple. We've gotten mixed reactions all day. I know Laker Nick is not a fan. Joe, you could beat me up if you want to on this. I kind of like it. Of course, the Bibigo thing I could do without, but I like the colors. I like the color scheme. I like the way the purple blends from a darker purple to a lighter purple as far as when it goes down like that. Lake Show, I think that's cool. I think it's different. I like it when they go alternative and these alternative jerseys. I just think it gives people more options. Yes, I know it's marketing. I know it's about making money, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Your thoughts on the new uniforms, the alternative uniforms, before we head on out?
It's all right. I don't really
care. You don't care? Okay. Guys, gals in the chat, what are your thoughts on the new jerseys? I know you got a chance to see them on social media earlier today. Let us know your thoughts, or if you're watching this after we've aired this or after we're gone live, let us know in the chat, in the comments below. I'll go ahead and I really want to hear your thoughts on it. But BTS says it's cool, but he'll go with the regular Lakers.
Looks like the jerseys. Looks like the jerseys that you buy from the vendors when you're coming back from Tijuana.
Okay.
Especially with that god-awful advertisement on the right.
Jeremy says purple is my favorite color. I just like, again, the blended purple. I just think the different shades of purple. Jeremy likes it. So Rough Artist says it looks like a 2K generated jersey. Again, purple's one of my favorite colors, so I like it. So I'm sorry to all those who don't like it, but to me, it is something that I think is something that's appealing, and I might be getting it sometime this season. I don't know. So the Lake Show said BTS, I won't be getting a Bronny jersey, that's for sure. But Lake Show needs to go. BTS says it's different. It's different. They're just taking advantage of it again. So I've got 6 Laker jerseys. What can I say? I like my Lakers jerseys.
I'm very excited for you.
Yes. Appreciate it. But you seemed indifferent to it, so I guess that's as good as an acceptance from you. But Jeremy says, is that photo AI? It looks like a video game image. No, it's a real image that they were actually showcasing today. LeBron did the same thing. It's out there on social media. It's not AI generated. It is actual. I think they did try on the uniforms at the UCLA Health Center today. Gerald and Joe, if the Lakers win the 2025 chip, you guys have to wear a Bronny James jersey.
Good luck.
Good luck. I think there's a very safe bet in there, Seven. What would you do if they don't win a 2025 chip? So you guys always say, well, if we have to do this, if the Lakers do this, what would you guys do in return? So if they lose, JSJ, would you buy a Bronny jersey and then send a picture to us? Darren says, let's all pitch in to get $7,000 a Bronny jersey. Look, again, that's why Bronny. I know Joe didn't want to talk about it. I know Joe was like bitching and moaning about it from the get go, even before we were on the air. But that's why we're talking about it, because there's still so many people that defend Bronny James. Doesn't matter that they saw what they saw at USC. Doesn't matter what they saw during the showcase, as far as the rookie showcase is concerned, as far as the combine. They didn't, they saw what they saw in summer league. They saw what they saw in 2 preseason games. It doesn't matter, Joe. It's because of the name on the back that says it all. So with that, we'll close it out with Joe. Your final thoughts. Bronny James, unfortunately, I know you're not going to like it. You're going to be pissed off every time we talk about it, but there's still so many people that are talking about it. The media's talking about it. We can't ignore it. We're not going to give it hype. If we try to ignore it, we don't look good in doing so, Joe. So we're going to call it out for what it is. And we're going to keep on calling it out because that's what our audience is used to. The truth and honesty that we provide, not negativity, according to Riddell. It's actual truth and honesty we provide.
Yeah. Some people will look at it that way. Most will look at it as negative.
Well, I just proved him wrong earlier today.
It doesn't matter. None of this matters. This is just entertainment. We give it attention. That means you validate their decision. That's the problem.
Corbina says,
I wouldn't talk about him ever if it wasn't for the show. He's irrelevant. It's just a matter of, will this team stamp it? And
Jeremy,
are we going to be talking? Are we going to is there going to be a redundancy the whole season, that's going to burn people out too?
Couple quick things. Jeremy's asking, and appreciate Jeremy. You're down under. I truly appreciate always when you're stopping by for the show, my friend. One of our great fans from Australia. Does Bronny play? How many games does Bronny play this year? Over under 5 games. The question should be, though, Jeremy, how many games should Bronny play this year for the Lakers? And the answer should be 0. But Joe, over under 5 games Bronny plays this year.
1.
I think it'll be more than 1. He'll get just whether we like it or not, he'll get, and it's a little bit of NBA action. Maybe
get your Polaroid and then just go away.
I think maybe 5 to 10 games.
I don't know.
Yeah, he'll spend most of his year in the G League. But if he gets above, the key is, anyways, in the G League, does he take advantage of it? Does he even get to double digits scoring wise in the G League? That'll start that should tell you right there where his development is at, because that's where he'll spend most of his time. M says, how many can we afford to lose? Well, we'll be up like 40 or whatnot, or down by 40, and he'll get in the game here and there if he just happens to be sitting on the sideline. Because remember, he's actually a fully contracted player. And with the two-way players, you can only burn so many games with the two-way players. So he'll be on the bench more often than we would like to have him there. That's what happens when you sign them those guaranteed contracts. Quabina asked, did the Thanasis did better than Bronny in his rookie year in New York? I don't know. I'd have to look at the games, or I'd have to talk to Knicks fans about that as far as how well he did in that period of time. He was barely an NBA player himself, but he was much taller. Yeah, he did not. He didn't do very well either, but I think he was probably, if you played him 1-on-1 against Bronny, I think that Thanasis would. I don't know. I would say Thanasis would probably still beat him in a 1-on-1 game. Bronny is just barely even a decent. He's not even a decent college player at this point. He only averaged 5 points a game in college. That's not even a decent college player. So come on, guys. You have to get real with this. You have to come with better.
I'm not going to talk about being real anymore. I'm not going to keep repeating this. It's you guys decide if you want to say that. I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm just going to tell you what's going on. That's it. Right or wrong, I'm going to tell you what's going on. I'll react to it. I'll be vulgar about it because it's an irritant.
And $7,000, you could disagree with us. That's fine, but be respectful in your disagreements with us.
I don't care either. Just don't.
Well,
Don't use racial terms, please. Don't say stupid stuff like that. Rodell did that too. He lost all respect. It still has. And I pick on Cool Bro because he's a snot-nosed kid, and I don't like kids except mine. So that's a me thing.
And Jeremy asked that's a better question, Jeremy. Than what $7,000 is doing. It's okay.
I didn't say he was at the party. That's what he said.
That's what he said. He didn't say it was
He's
okay.
the one that said it. Go watch the tape.
Yeah, it's right there.
Me saying it. I didn't say anything. He's the one saying no, don't party like a Diddy party. I didn't say anything. I was sitting there minding my business. Stop lying. I keep telling you, what the hell did I just do for an hour and 20 minutes? I called all the liars out. Stop fucking lying. Stop making shit up. You're making shit up. I am not the schmuck that's going to sit there and take it, okay? Stop lying. I didn't say that. He said it. I'm just repeating what he said. Pay attention. Jesus Christ, people. Figure it out, man. Grow a brain. Focus. Listen.
One of the things I want to say before we go, Jeremy's asking, what's Connect going to average this year? I'll say this, there's always a stigma attached to rookies and about, deserving or not deserving playing time. Depends on the coach. But you also got to remember that this bench, this group of reserves for the Lakers is not good. It could be one of the worst benches in the league, which is very problematic for the Lakers season, but it could be very advantageous, Joe, for Connect, because even if he isn't in the rotation early, he could be in the rotation very quickly and make his presence known if he finds a consistent jump shot, which I think both you and I think he can, Joe.
If he hits 15 and 5, he's going to be first team all rookie.
I think he'll do about 10 to 12 if he gets consistent playing time. Which could still put him in.
I think 15 is actually pretty realistic. If he actually plays. If he plays 12 minutes a game, yeah, I know, but I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say he's playing 20, 25 minutes at some point during the year on a regular basis.
It's probably later in the year though, because the rookie thing early on.
The problem is later in the year they run out of gas.
Yeah.
He'll
hit a rookie wall probably in January, like all rookies do. And then he'll start to come out of it probably in February or March. We'll see what kind of playing time he gets then. But yeah, it's all dependent on how much confidence this team has. And so far in the preseason, they're giving him a lot of leeway, a lot of minutes, both him and Max. And we'll see how it works out. It didn't work out on Sunday.
Crazy, the difference. It's crazy the difference between him and Max. Dalton already in two preseason games is just somewhat light years better than all of them off the bench. All the perimeter guys. It's his stroke, I really wanted that shot against Phoenix to go in. That would have been poetic. But man, he looks great fundamentally. He really does. He really does. And it would be really nice if the Lakers got a more athletic Austin Reeves. That's what he can be. A more athletic Austin Reeves. Someone who can shoot better also.
Yeah.
His body's already built like an NBA player. I feel very, very confident that he's going to be a very viable player for the next 10 years.
JSJ, Precious Achua. As far as him becoming a Laker, I could have seen that before the Cat trade, but now that the New York Knicks have no depth after Miles McBride and Precious Achua is now their seventh man coming off the bench, I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening. Why would you make your already thin bench that much thinner? And you know how much Thibodeau loves to gas out players. He loves to play them 38, 40, 42 minutes a game. So they've got a 7-8 man rotation at best right now in New York. And because of what they did, they traded DVD and Randall away. So they made their bench thinner. I don't see that happening. I don't see any offer right now unless you could give something back in return that could help their bench. And the Lakers already have a suspect bench. So I don't think there's anything we can do about getting Precious Achua in a Lakers uniform right now. I mean, that before the Cat trade, I could have seen it because I know he wasn't thrilled about his contract situation during the summer. But yeah, it's not now. But at least now he'll have a chance to earn a bigger contract now, because I think he was a restricted free agent, and they kind of backed him into a corner with the Knicks, and just he signed back with the Knicks. But yeah, he's now needed by the Knicks to go ahead and produce this season.
Knicks are going all the way. What I mean by that is they're going all the way to try to win a title now.
Yeah, they're all in. That Cat trade, they're all in. So,
and there could be some benefit there. There could be some benefit there in the East. It's going to be very top heavy. However, if Boston gets complacent, which tends to happen a little bit, just a little bit with title winners, and then if Philly happens to run into an injury issue, the Knicks could be that team that can get through that.
That's a good question, Guabina. If he continues to shoot 35% from three, the answer is yes, because the rest of the league knows that he's an undrafted player who may have already maxed out his talent and his ability to play at the NBA level. He maybe not. Maybe there's still room for growth. They're saying that at every single practice. He was talking about today how he's the leader in assists for the Lakers right now. That's great and all, but again, we have to see how his game develops and if his shot gets more consistent. Because I know, Joe, one of the things I was going back on with last year for team previews so I could show up Riddell was the fact that you made a quote talking about how LeBron, at the time you didn't know he was going to be a 40% shooter, but how LeBron would have 40% shooters out there in Rui, D'Lo, and Reeves, and it didn't quite work out that way. He had to become a 40% shooter. Reeves has to become a 38 to 42% shooter to become, maybe even on that contract, a really viable trade option, or actually a great rotation player for the Lakers.
You just answered my question. We were wrong last year. We're wrong about what the Lakers needed to do to win.
You were also wrong. You were also kind of wrong on the Dallas Mavericks.
Well, I didn't know they were going to get Gafford and Washington and all that. I think
And
that
Lively looked really good for them.
Lively, I didn't know. You never know with rookies, but I didn't know they were going to make those kind of transactions that helped their team get to the finals. But at the end, they still looked like chumps when it mattered, right?
Yeah.
Didn't matter. Where we were wrong is we were wrong in that if they stayed healthy and they hit their threes, they had 40% shooters. It didn't matter because they couldn't rebound. And Pat Riley said rebounds win championships. So if you don't rebound, you don't win. Lakers need to find a way to rebound. If they don't rebound, it's not going to work out. And if somebody gets hurt, any significant injury to LeBron and AD for 3 weeks is done. This team is over. They'll have to trade draft picks for something. But I don't know. I don't know what the plan there is.
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. Truly appreciate you joining us. Legend 350, and who I just dropped his season predictions for our members. They've already gotten a look at it, and Darren's already been talking about it. He'll be on tomorrow with me at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. We'll be talking about the NBA. Hopefully, Joe may join us there, or later on for Inside Sports Fantasy Football. Hopefully, he'll join us on one of those shows or both. But we will see. But yes, we'll be talking about what some of the early things that we're seeing in preseason around the NBA, even though some of the teams not even playing their first game until later this week, which just absolutely blows my mind that they don't get their act together on the schedule of any better for preseason. But okay, it is what it is. But it is, of course, the Lakers Fast Break. Joe, any last thoughts before we head on out?
No.
All right. Search. Amazing again as our mod, best mod that's out there. Darren, always great to have you here. Jeremy, 7. Again,
Jeremy, listen. I'm sorry, not Jeremy. 7. See this? Pay attention. This is the volume. Turn it on. Focus. Listen. Listen when people talk. Don't wait to speak. Listen. The reason why we interrupt each other on this show is because we have a chat and there's timing with questions. Otherwise,
and sometimes I'm trying to find sometimes Joe will hesitate a little bit, and sometimes I think there might be a dead space for audio listeners. So sometimes I'll think that, oh, he's finished what he was saying. So, and then
yeah, it's fine on a show like this sometimes because it's just we have to answer the question. Otherwise, the chats move pretty quick sometimes, and you'll lose it.
Yeah. Absolutely. But Juan, Xbox, I'll tell you what, you guys are just all awesome out there. E. Gibson, truly appreciate you joining us. Become a member today. You see those members. We've been giving a shout out through the entire show. It is just so great to be doing it. We're now 20 members strong and counting. So please join today. You get emojis, badges. You also get notes from us on when we're going to go live on the air a little bit ahead of time before everyone else. Plus, you get a little inside stuff. I'm also working on a written Laker preview for this season that members are going to see first. And you'll be seeing the season predictions from almost every panelist on the show, with one notable exception who won't take the time out of his day to write it. But we won't say who that is.
Who?
You!
That hurt my feelings.
I bet you just said you didn't have any feelings.
I just got them now.
Fair enough, indeed. Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. We'll be back tomorrow with Legend 350, talking the NBA and NBA observations. After that, Thursday, I've got pregame with Stone Hansen. Stone Hansen's coming back. He's going to be on the show. Hopefully, we'll also be able to do a playback for the Lakers in Milwaukee. And then post-game, Joe will be doing the post-game nightcap with me. We'll be talking what happened in Milwaukee. Oh, you sound so thrilled. But yes, we'll still be doing some good stuff here this week. Joe looks absolutely thrilled, like he just saw Bronny James jersey or something. I don't know. Maybe the new alternate style, the Lake Show. But once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Soro along with me, Joe Glassford. Thanks again for watching this thing. A Gerald rant on Joe is rare. It's like falling on deaf ears, JSJ. It just doesn't happen. But we'll be back tomorrow for more good stuff right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.
Who's that eating?
I don't know. It's just a soundbite I got off the internet.
You have to pay them royalties for that?
Oh no. Why would I?